Okay, we are live. It's always when we do this on StreamYard, I always get a bit. You never know when we're live or not, but we're live. So there we go. Okay, today I have invited you guys in to watch or to join us for a little conversation with some awesome knitters, because this is the thing. During Wool Month, we present you with a whole lot of stuff, but we also talk a lot about the different memberships that we have. And we have had a panel at the very beginning with the what we call the Mountain Journey, which is one membership. And then we have another membership, which is called the Northern Light. And that's what I tend to, because when I'm going to explain that in, as short as possible, because I can spend a couple of hours explaining and talking about it if, I was allowed. What I keep saying is that it's our deep dive, all immersive knitting experience, or a year of knitting journey, where we I had to explain this to someone yesterday, and I said, well, you're being introduced to new patterns, new techniques, new people, but most of all, you're getting new friends, and you're getting friends for life. I think I said, because there are people in there that really are becoming really good friends. So today what we have done is that we have invited 4 of those wonderful knitters into this little conversation that we're going to do. And I did say in an email that I was going to be quiet today. And they all smile when I say that, because they know that I find that really hard when when we're talking about Anne's Norwegian knitting, which is my baby. But I'm going to try to be as quiet as possible. Steph, which is working with me, for me, on me, I don't know, because she's working on my head sometimes. Is going to lead the conversation, and I will be chipping in whenever I feel like it. And with us, we have Terry. Terry has been with us for a year and a half. We have Laurie. She's been with us for a bit more than a year, right? And then we have Leslie. And I'm smiling because I was about to say something, but I'm not going to say that. That's probably going to be said later. She's been with us. She's in year 3 now. So she's been with us for a while. And then we have Crystal, and she's almost finished her 2nd year. And then we have Steph, and then we have Anne. And with that, I'm going to let you, Steph, lead the conversation onwards.
Okay. I'm just going to start by asking everybody questions. And Laurie, I'm going to start with you. Tell us why you joined Anne's Norwegian Knitting and the Northern Lights. So I'm sure there was a gap in between, but tell us about why you joined and then why you moved up.
Well, I was at a point in my craftiness where I was kind of putting down my crochet hook after about 10 years. I hadn't knit since I was maybe in my mid-20s, maybe 30-ish. I wanted to do something different, so I taught myself how to crochet and ended up being a tester for a designer and the whole bit, and was getting kind of burnt out on that because there were deadlines, and I ended up with all the stuff that I really didn't want and a lot of yarn. That I'm one of those people that learned from their grandmother how to knit. And so I grew up in the Vermont, New Hampshire area, learning how to do Aran sweaters and all of those one color wonders that are out there. And decided I wanted to pick my knitting back up again. And for some reason, I don't know what prompted it, but I wanted to learn I was a thrower, and I wanted to learn how to knit Continental. So back on YouTube, I went and saw the Continental. And then after probably a month or two, all of a sudden that popped up on Facebook was the Eternity Shawl experience. And I'm going, oh, I can do that. mind you, I think I've done 1 or 2 color work projects in my previous knitting history. I don't know if any of you remember the Lady Diana sheep sweater, all the white sheep and a red sweater and the one black sheep. That was the first sweater I ever made. I never got to see it on the person I made it for. I was asked to make it for them. But, oh, no, I made 2 sweaters. And I made for her dad, actually, one of those fish sweaters, the big cowl neck pullover sweaters things, Mary Maxim kit type thing, you know. But, that turned out okay. But anyway, the Eternity shawl just caught my eye. The colors, my colors, and I said, okay, I'll sign up for this. So I joined the Eternity shawl sweater, or not sweater, shawl experience. And during the process of all of that, all of these other carrots began to dangle out there. And being the addict I am, I had to explore what else was available out there. And then Anne said, oh, we have one-on-one appointments available. We have this experience where you get everything under the sun. And I said, well, I always go big or go home. So I made an appointment with her, gathered all of my successful projects and got my story straight and prepared for the interview, which I laughed at the end going, oh my gosh, we just had a conversation. It was the best conversation about life and happiness and what makes me happy and what makes her happy. It was just an amazing
you jumped in with both feet?
I'm sorry. I jumped in with both feet. I went straight to Northern Lights. We even talked about me, even though I'm joining Northern Lights, go ahead and start with level 1 or 0, level 1, level 2, just to get my feet wet. But then the level 3 sweater came out and I'm going, oh. So I actually, I was maybe a quarter of a way through the shawl and said, well, I want to do that level 3 sweater. I just can't, that's my ADHD kicking in, or my addiction kicking in, whatever it is. But so I started the level 3 sweater and got to a really hard part for me. It's all one color with just a simple pattern. It's all tangled up in the arm here. But so this is as far as I got on it. Beautiful. It's all piecemeal. And Terry has the completed one on, but it starts out looking like this.
7 steeks in that sweater.
7 steeks in the sweater. So
it does look a bit, odd.
It's all tangled up, so I didn't really display it that well. But
but it still looks a bit, when you're in progress on that project, it looks I saw Gwen, no, not Gwen. I saw I think I saw the doctor. Goodness, Brenda. In there somewhere, and she's like, Anne, I can't even imagine this one. But after 2 years, now she's getting there because she's been seeing all the projects being done. So totally, Lori.
I love a challenge, so I had no problem starting it. But then again, I got distracted because the trip came up and we needed a Hemsedal sweater and we needed a Nidarosdoll sweater. And so
what are you wearing, Lori?
Well, hold on. We're going to have the order.
I have to say something because Lori says that we needed.
In my brain, we needed.
Yeah, well, in a few others' brains as well. And I was not the one who told you that we needed.
That might have been
it rescued me from the one color.
Can I blame someone? Steph. Yeah.
So.
For those who don't know this, we have this in joke that, can we blame someone, Yes, at this time I can, and I'm blaming Steph. Sorry.
So I did Hemsedal and actually did a pullover first, and really being in Texas and when it's 105 degrees and only under 30 for 3 days, I wanted a cardigan versus a pullover. Mm-hmm. So I turned it into a cardigan. So this is my Hemsedal.
So did you know how to do that before Anne's Norwegian Knitting? Would you have known how to turn a sweater into a cardigan?
No, and the reason I figured it out was because at the time I decided to turn this into a cardigan. I started the level 2 project of the Ingen, which is the cardigan. So I just used the same process and applied it to the Hemsedal, even though there wasn't a pattern out there for it, into the cardigan.
Awesome.
So this is my Ingen sweater.
And I've seen you in real life in that sweater. It's beautiful on you.
This is my favorite sweater, this one.
Yeah, it's beautiful on you.
So, and that's one of the things that I have learned in Anne's world is she gives you the pattern, and yes, you are supposed to follow it as written the first time, but being me, I'm a rebel. I kind of changed things up a little bit. So that's why
your rebelness.
My rebelness. And then this Nidaros, it's wrinkled in the middle because it was folded. So we all wore this in front of the Nidaros Cathedral.
Beautiful. Fits you perfect.
Well, yeah, now it does, doesn't it?
It does.
So
Lori, I should say, Lori did all this and you lost weight during the classes.
yes.
So
I'm coming up on 40 pounds.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. So after that, there was a gap in projects, and I knew what was coming up because we got to see it on our trip, and I didn't want to start anything new. So I went back to the Eternity Shawl and finished it. So here's the Eternity Shawl.
So did you learn Continental while doing the Eternity Shawl?
That's how I actually know. I was still throwing when I started this,
Okay.
But I did change. You can't tell when I changed.
You can't tell? Oh, good for you.
I was making another shawl that was just straight knit that I was practicing just to get the muscle memory on. So I did this one. And again, being the rebel, I didn't do the fringe. I did a crocheted edge on it.
Gorgeous. So you still get to use that crochet background that you have.
Yep. And actually on the, was it the Ingen or one at the Hemsedal or the Ingen? Which one? Oh, it was the Ingen. Instead of the regular button band, I actually crocheted that as well. So
gorgeous.
So then the next project that came up, see, this is one thing. There's always something going on. You will never be at a loss for what to do. It might be what to do next, but there's always something in there. So then we had our next project that started, and this is the Roses Meets the Stall. And I'm at a stopping point because we're waiting for some updates to a pattern.
Just see me looking straight into the screen. I know you're waiting.
I know you know. I keep telling you so, but I have the sleeves and the body.
Beautiful. I love the colors you picked.
And I have to say, this is my favorite yarn to work with so far.
So what yarn is it?
This is the Tinda and the Soul.
Tinda Soul. Did you buy that when we were on our trip?
I did.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. There's a lot more coming in that yarn in the next 12 months.
And actually, I decided to do a bigger swatch. So when I was in New Hampshire in July, I went up to visit Suzanne, who's our yarn dealer.
For sure.
And she actually had the same dye lot as my yarn. So
gosh.
I know. Yeah.
Well, you got lucky.
I was able to get a couple extra skeins from her. But so the reason I stay is, again, this keeps me busy. This is my stress control. You can say there's a lot of stress in there. And being retired, I worked from home when I retired. And so you become a recluse when you do that. And then being retired, you're even more of a recluse because I didn't have the 40 people that I worked with anymore, except for one lady that's become one of my best friends. She lives in Tennessee. So having this group of people to talk to 3-4 times a week, even though you're not really part of the group that's being talked to, you can join any of the Zoom calls anytime. You can talk, you can not talk, you can be seen, you can not be seen. It's become my social group, which is something I didn't know I needed. So that's why I stay. Not because of not because of the beautiful work that Anne does and lets us play with,
but the combo,
the people.
Yeah, we do have an amazing group. Thanks, Lori. Anne, did you have any questions for Lori before I move on?
No.
Okay, Leslie, you're up next. Leslie, tell us why you joined.
Well, I saw a shawl on Facebook, but the reason I started with the shawl on Facebook was a little different than Lori. I've knit all my life. My mother taught me to knit when I was like 6 years old, and I knit little things here and there. When my first daughter was born, almost 30 years ago, my mom and I decided, okay, we're going to knit a whole bunch of baby stuff. And I found a European designer back then and knit a whole bunch of things for her. But I came across this one sweater that was a black and white dolman sleeve sweater, really cute. It had a, it was like a houndstooth pattern, 2 colors. And I got through the 1 color knit ribbing, and then I started on the 2 color. And I was with my mom one day and I said, Mom, I can't do this 2 color knitting. You got to finish it. So I just handed it off to her. And of course, she finished it very beautiful. I mean, it's gorgeous. I've kept it, and from hope, God willing, I'll have grandchildren. And there it sat. And I was honestly defeated. I like, nope, can't do 2 color. And so I kept seeing this thing on Facebook of this shawl. And I kept seeing this thing on the Facebook, and I kept looking at it. And then one day my mom and I were sitting in my living room, and I said, Mom, look at this. And she goes, wow, that's beautiful. I'm like, but it's 2 color. And she goes, oh, Leslie, you can do it. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I got online and I started the Eternity Shawl. And lo and behold, with a little bit of teaching from Anne, I was so proud of myself. I started 2 color and I showed my mom and she goes, see, I told you could do it. I'm like, thanks, Mom. Anyway, so yes, I could do it. And that's what got me started. And I haven't finished my Eternity Shawl yet. It's going to take me a little bit more than a year, 2, 3, maybe eternity. I have 1 more repeat to do, but that's what started me. And that's what introduced me to Anne's Norwegian knitting. And I am very proud to say that I've done very well with 2 color knitting, I think. And my mom was very proud of me. So that's how I got to Anne. And very, very happy with the fact that I can now do 2 color. My kids, maybe not so much when they sit there and say, Mom, you got more yarn. Well, there's another project coming.
Yeah.
Oh, well. So
I see a seating pad behind you.
Yes. So that was one of the things we were told to bring on our trip to Norway is you have to have a sitting pad. And of course, there is a pattern for a sitting pad. And I learned a new technique. This is another thing that's really cool is that you learn a lot of new techniques being with Anne and stuff. And I learned how to do the little circle thing with I forget what it's called, but the little circle in the center. And it's really cool because you can go online and you can see all these tutorials. You get teaching, but then you can always go back and see the tutorial. So I watched this tutorial quite a few times, and I finally got it. And I finished my sitting pad that I brought with me to Norway and used it when we were up in the mountains in Hemsedal. So didn't have my sweater, but I had my sitting pad.
But you had your sitting pad.
Yeah.
So do you have any other show and tell you want to show us?
Yes. So another thing that I brought home with me when we went to Norway is some yarn, and I love Sol and Tinda yarn to make my pedestal. Here's my body. It's a
Beautiful.
more traditional with a little bit of green in it, but it's one I love it. And I have one sleeve done that I finished this week, and I started the second sleeve. And I do too. I love this yarn. I love this yarn. It's awesome. And then the other thing I have is my swatch, which that's another thing you learn, that how important swatching is. Believe me, I never did swatching until I was with Anne. Never, ever. I just got started knitting, and it turned out the way it was. But I made this hat, as a swatch. It was actually my dad. I gave it to my dad. My mom and dad passed away, but I gave it to my dad, and he was very proud to wear it. I should have got the picture of him, but now I understand how important it is to swatch before each project. So you can figure out, are my needles right, and am I on gauge and everything. So that's all I have brought over with me. But I did start the level 3 because I do have like a little bit of an addiction. Just kind of like Lori, I have a level 3 and I have a level 2, but I'm going to finish the pedestal because I want to finish this one before I go back probably to one of those or to the Eternity Shawl and finish that.
So Lori, I'm going to brag about you just for a second. In real life, outside of Anne's Norwegian Knitting, you're a rocket scientist, which is, we all love that about you. And but because you're busy at work and a rocket scientist, you can't make all of the meetups.
Correct.
So you watch everything in replay. So tell me how important it is to you that we do everything in replays.
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, sometimes I'll be sitting and watching something, like if it's a, live learning session or whatever, or a teaching session, and I'll laugh. And what's really cool about watching it after the fact is that you can go back if you miss something over and over. And that's been, like I said, with tutorials, it's been really important, to be able to have that as a resource, as a continual resource in order to, perfect your projects. So, I mean, that's been one advantage. I can't tell a lie. There have been a couple times where I've gotten on while I was at work, but don't tell my boss. And, joined a couple things, especially during wool month. I have been known to have it on next to me while I'm working. So
cool.
Anyway.
So because of your working and then you watch replays, you don't get like the community that Lori was talking about, but you did get to go with us to Norway.
Yes.
Which is a little perk of the Northern Lights as we do a trip.
Yes.
So,
and I have to say it was funny because I was, not having met everybody on Zoom, met everybody. I was a little nervous about going to Norway, but it was awesome. It was wonderful. I'm so glad that I was able to join my fellow Northern Lighters and experience a week in Norway, doing a lot of knitting, talking, laughing, lots of laughing. And I will say since then, I have been able to, I have joined most of the Saturday knit and chats. I had to miss a couple because I was out of town. But yes, that was it is a phenomenal experience that we had in Norway, and I'm really glad. And now I've got lots of new friends and get to see them every Saturday. And that's awesome. So
it was a really fun trip. And it was fun to get to know you on that trip too. Anne will attest, I told her after the trip was over that one of my highlights was actually getting to know you, because I got to know everybody else on Zoom, but I got to meet you, and you and I hit it off and we had a great time. So it was
so a lot of similarities. Yeah.
Yes. Even though I'm not a rocket scientist, I wish.
So that's my story.
There you go. Anne, do you have anything you want to ask Leslie?
No, but I'd like to, she talked about the swatching thing and how that gauge thing is, taken her in new directions. But I think, because there's so many people that are as you said, you never swatched before. You entered my world, and I saw Terry nodding, and I know there are several others in there that could, second that. But what I also think is that part of the game in being in Ants Norwegian Knitting in the Northern Light, that also goes for if you're in the mountain, but especially in the Northern Light, because we are getting even closer in the Northern Light, obviously, since we see each other more, is that you're not the only one doing that swatch. Everyone is doing that swatch. And that makes it okay, because that means that no one is starting on the sweater. Everyone knows that everyone is doing that swatch. It's like, so it's not like someone starts and races off, and then you're sitting there trying to find your gauge, right? Because, everyone else is being required to do the same. That being said, obviously, when you get to a certain point, you get to know the Solentinde and the needle sizes that you use so well, so you don't have to do it. But I think as a group, you have adapted so tremendously well to that gauge and swatch philosophy that I push so hard. And I really appreciate hearing you say that you quite enjoy it. And also, as you said, you made a hat. That's a swatch. I know Crystal is going to show you something, but we make purposeful swatches most of the time. We try to find small projects and sometimes slightly bigger projects to make sure that we get all these swatches done the right way, right? So yeah, I love that, Leslie. And I remember you saying to me when we were in Norway that you had been a bit anxious about going, because I'm a bit nervous because you didn't know anyone. But, that was nothing to be afraid of, was it?
No.
So,
Wonderful people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I told these guys, for those of you who are listening, I told these guys before we came on that we're all cool in Ants Norwegian Knitting. I know people would say that I'm not cool, but I like to hang on to the fact that I feel kind of cool doing all this. And if I feel kind of cool doing it, then you are cool as well. So there you go.
Crystal, you're up. Tell us why you joined Ants Norwegian Knitting, and then why you joined Northern Lights.
Well, there's a common theme you'll notice. I was looking for a pattern for and mine starts a little different, but I had a niece who was pregnant and expecting her first, and I thought, I had to see if I could find a baby blanket or something to make for her. I didn't start into the fiber world until I was in college. But I learned how to knit from a book, and then I thought, being the kind of deep dive person that I am, it's like, well, it's fine to knit, but I think I'd like to learn more about how this knitting happens. So I dove into spinning and some weaving, and then eventually processing fleece. And anyway, so I did the whole wool thing. And so that was why I was looking at some kind of wool thing for my niece, who is actually Ukrainian. And so that's been kind of a neat thing between the two of us, because she values wool as well. Anyway, so I'm online and I'm looking, and I'm not really finding anything. And then I come across this one baby blanket picture, and I thought, oh, that looks really cool. It was a 2-color blanket with a really pretty pattern. Sorry, I'm rescuing yarn for my cat. So I'm looking at the pattern, and I'm thinking, I like this. Where do I find it? And so, of course, as you learn quickly, when you try to find an Anne pattern, what you really find is Anne, which is better than finding the pattern anyway. So I found her website, and when I did that, I saw the shawl, and I thought, oh my goodness, that is absolutely gorgeous. I loved it just took my breath away. It was just fabulous. And I looked at that, and I thought, heck with the baby blanket. I've got to do that shawl. So I went ahead and signed up for the shawl. And because when you do anything with Anne, you get support, that meant that I got to listen to more of Anne. And she was talking about how she chooses her colors. And that had always been oh, I wouldn't be really good at that kind of thing. I mean, I've done quilting and I've enjoyed that, but that's a different kind of trying to do colors. That's matching fabrics that already have beautiful colors blended in them. And so as she was talking about how she chose her colors and that she used nature as the backdrop and that she was, the color was based on, the mountains that she loved. And I thought, that's it. That's why I love it. Because I very much enjoy the beauty, the natural beauty of the outdoors, and have spent a lot of time in the mountains and enjoy them. And I thought, wow, so I could learn not only about how to knit this kind of stuff, but I could learn more about colors. Not that I'd probably ever be good at it, but I could learn more. And I love to learn. So all these little things kept adding up during the summer. And then she had Wool Month. And that was just delightful because, of course, that has to do with sheep and fleece and processing. And I got to, virtually get to know some of the mills over in Norway. And it's like, oh, my goodness, I was born in the wrong country. I wish I could immigrate to Norway. Anyway, so all of that was just really good. And we got to the end of Wool Month. And then there was not going to be any more Anne and her knitting. And well, that was terrible. And so she started mentioning things about this different journeys and the Northern Lights and the mountain and everything. And I thought, oh my goodness, that's a huge investment. I couldn't make that investment. That's too much. Oh, but man, I'd love to do that. And then you'd be able to do all the things. I mean, my goodness, I could learn so much more. I could be busy with this and that and the other thing. And so I was chatting with my husband about it. He goes, would you just do it? He said, anytime you're spending time with your shawl or with the Wool Month or anything, you're just a much more pleasant person to be around. So would you just sign up? So I did. And it's been all that I had hoped it would be and more, because I have learned how to put colors together. Again, I'm not an Anne, but I've learned more of the steps of how to do that. I have learned about a whole different way of knitting in a culture that really values that process. It's a culture that values what I value, and what I value is not often valued in my home country. So that's delightful. But the other thing that I found, I have never been able to stay in a group. I'm not a group person because I don't tend to fit. But I found the most incredibly talented, welcoming, delightful group of people. And part of that, a good share of it, is because of the ground rules that Anne puts in there. You got to be nice to each other. You've got to try to look on the positive. You've got to be open to learning new things. And she enforces those. And it makes for such a nice thing to look forward to multiple times a week. That's another reason why I couldn't drop the Northern Lights, because that's how I get to meet up with all these wonderful people multiple times a week. As somebody else said, they said, just because you're not currently working on a level 1 doesn't mean you can't drop in on the level 1 calls and the level 2 calls and the level 3 calls and the so anyway, but it's a group that I actually feel like I fit, and that's the most incredible gift. Anyway,
You absolutely fit, Crystal. We love you.
thank you.
So you do almost every project that comes out there.
Oh yes, it's so much fun.
So show us some of the projects you've done. But you do
Okay,
almost
well,
every
first,
one, so you take advantage of everything that comes out.
I do. And part of that's because of I knit more the more stressed that I am. And let's just say that, the last few years haven't exactly been the least stressful on the planet. So it is a therapeutic place for me, not only the active knitting, the working with colors, the camaraderie of the group. It's my safe space. It's my it's the place where I fit. But yes, I do knit a lot, and I felt so complimented this summer. My daughter was out to visit, and she's been interested to watch and learn what I'm learning. And so I brought out the things that I had knitted since I had seen her last, and we were about the same size. And I said, if there's anything here that you like, you're welcome to take it. She lives in Washington State. I'm in Colorado. And she goes, well, I couldn't take. I said, oh no. I said, there's always more. It would just free up space so that I would have more space to put more knits and more yarn. And she goes, are you serious? I said, yeah. I said, there's more coming. I can tell you about several of the things, and I know there's going to be more after that. I said, now don't take anything you don't want. I don't want you to feel like you have to take things, but if you want it, take it. And I was so delighted because I put out several things. I think she ended up taking, well, she took everything that I had done other than my level 3. The sleeves were a little too long for her on that one. And I thought, that's fine. I'll leave them a little long. I've been planning on shortening them a little, but for right now, it's just fine that they're a little long. Anyway, but she took all the rest of them. She says, are you really sure? I said, yeah. And to me, that just felt so good because it's like, wow, I'm actually knitting things that she wants to take and use. That was just a massive compliment. So anyway, so yes, I knit everything, but I no longer have everything, but I have space and the opportunity to buy more yarn.
Yeah, it's not like
So-
it's not like I'm not gonna give you more to knit. So don't worry.
Exactly. I'm so glad that Anne has a brain that continually churns out new knitting ideas. One of the things that I've done recently is knit with a wool cotton blend. I have knitted with cotton before, and I had never been really thrilled with it because it's not real stretchy. But I realized that at that point in time, I was knitting lace, and so that makes cotton that much harder to work with. So everybody was ranting and raving about the coast, and it was a T pattern, and I said, okay, fine, I'll take the plunge. And I was just really tickled with how it turned out. The yarn is very soft. It's very pleasant. And this isn't quite the natural beauty that Terry and Anne find. But there was this collared lizard that lives in Colorado, and we came across it, and it was just the most gorgeous lizard. It was like this teal and orange, and I've been thinking about this summer tea, and I thought, that's it. It's summer. It's warm. So anyway, this is my lizard inspired.
You have to stop saying that. It's not like what Anne or Terry finds. I know for sure that Terry is doing a lot of hard work at the back end to get her colors right. We are in a process right now, and she's probably going to talk a bit about that later. Okay, I am fairly. I know my colors. That sounded a bit cocky, didn't it? I'm sorry. But
it's honest. It's just honest.
Yeah, the colors come easily to me, but I do mistakes as well. I do put together colors that don't work. I definitely do, but I don't often show them off. I have something I'm going to show you guys off next week, actually, that doesn't work. But that's another. I kind of knew that, but anyway. But your colors are really good, Crystal. I mean, the way you put colors together, that really, really works. So stop saying that, okay? That baby,
well, I just meant it's
away is like, oh.
That one turned out nice. And that one, I wasn't sure at first when I held the two skeins up. I thought, oh yeah, no problem, it'll be fine. And I did the black and white, monochrome like you taught us to see if there's enough contrast and everything. And then I started knitting them, And I thought, I can't see the pattern in this. And I thought, shoot. But I was enjoying knitting it with it. And I didn't have another project that I was ready to get to yet. And I thought, well, that's fine. I'll just keep knitting. And I realized after I'd knit for a ways further, so that there was more of the color, that the pattern was starting to show up more. And then I realized that if you just hold it a little bit further away, it turned out to be really nice. So here again, thank you for your guidance in saying, okay, this is how you can go about starting the process, but you aren't really going to know until you get into it. And if you're not sure, just keep going and see whether or not it's going to work out. So that was,
rip it back.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. For the level 3, Anne had it's a flower meadow cardigan, and she had shown us her flower meadow, and we were going to be doing a family trip here in Colorado up in the mountains, and it was during the early spring. Well, up there on the mountains, it was early spring, and so all the wildflowers were blooming. So I went up and I took my camera and I made everybody stop every 30 feet as we were four-wheeling here and there in the other place, because it's like, oh, wait, there's more flowers. Oh, there's more flowers. Oh, wait, stop. I got to get this. But it was delightful because then I could come back and follow her, her encouragement about, okay, then find the yarn colors that match and then swatch it to see if it's actually going to look good. So I was very, very happy with how that turned out.
Mm.
So those are
and
your
the
colors,
last thing I did,
not the recommended by Anne colors. Very cool.
Yeah, those are my colors, and some of them are similar. The pink and the yellow that Anne used worked well. They were kind of the closest matched for my pinks and yellows. But then I pulled in some blues because we've got larkspur, and some purples because anyway, there's just
and
here in the summer.
I think you have some different greens in there as well that I don't have.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got a couple of, a darker green and a lighter green, and a couple of blues and purple. And I thought I was going to use lavender, but the lavender here again, I thought there was enough contrast and there wasn't, but that's okay because the blues worked out well instead. So that was a lot of fun. Now it did. For those of you who decide to jump in and do level 3 and do the flower meadow cardigan, I heard someone describe it as an octopus. I thought that was the best description I had heard. So one of the things that you learn if you stick with Anne at all is trust the process, follow the instructions. And I have to remember periodically that, I'm here to learn. And so if you're going to learn something, it's usually good to follow the advice of the person who knows the thing. So I followed the instructions and all 7 steeks happened and they turned out okay. And I'm really happy with the result. And so every morning when I sit on the front porch or the back porch and watch the sun come up and have my hot cocoa to start the day, I'm wrapped up in my flower meadow cardigan, and it is just the most delightful thing. So then the latest thing that I jumped into, and this was after talking with Terry, for the virtual retreat this year, Anne talked a lot about flowers and about embroidery and about natural dyeing and all kinds of fascinating things. And so she had created a cardigan and a fingerless mitt pattern. And I had done the fingerless mitt pattern, and I had done embroidery on wool for the first time. I'd never tried that before. It was actually pretty fun. But I realized that the pattern, most of the time in most Norwegian patterns, the pattern itself is symmetrical, covers a small number of stitches, and it's symmetrical. So you only have to memorize like about 10 stitches, and you just kind of repeat that. Well, this one's different because it is random. And so as I was working through the fingerless mitt pattern, I thought, oh my goodness, this really takes a whole different perspective. And so I had hesitated about the cardigan, although I really wanted to try it. Well, Terry was brave, and she did it before I did. And I asked her, I said, so what do you think about this? And she said, well, it's a challenge, but she said, once you get to the roses, Anne's rose, then she says, that's a landmark. And suddenly it's all much easier to make sense of in your brain. And I thought, well, it can't hurt to try. And again, I was in a pause between projects. So I started, and I actually got to, I still have to reinforce the steek and steek it, but I've got the button bands all done, and I'm very tickled. So there's always more to learn, and I love that.
So when we were recording the podcast, I noticed you were knitting. What are you making now?
The Sedestal sweater is the next on my list, and so I am swatching. And swatching is a term that, well, it's a term that I had heard when I learned how to knit, reading through the book. But well, at that point in time, I was shaped differently than I'm shaped now, and so I could just say, I'll just do a size small. I'm quite sure it'll fit. And it did. And so that was that. Well, life is different now. And it doesn't work that way. And so one of the things that I have learned to really enjoy is doing a swatch. It's my opportunity to learn to say hello to the yarns, to say hello to the patterns, to see whether or not the colors are going to work. But it's totally no pressure, because it's a small thing, and if I don't like it, I rip it out. But I really like the fact that the projects that we swatch on are projects. It is a functional thing, and everybody's just as interested in everybody's pieces they're swatching as they are in the sweaters. So it'll be, oh, what are you working on? Well, I'm swatching for. Oh, well, what are you making with your swatch? Well, I'm doing that. Well, let me see it. So it's not like it's a non-important thing. And my personal favorite swatch pattern is a potholder. Anne gave out some potholder patterns. It's been, I don't know, year and a half ago. Anyway, and they're delightful. The picture, whoops, I've got tape on it. The picture shows one version. And then there's another one, which is the one I'm working on, that has real pretty fancy ram's horns and rose and all that sort of thing. That's my favorite one. And I love it because I can always use more potholders. And if I ever get to the point where I can't use more potholders, then, I have family and friends that I need to give Christmas presents for. And so anyway, so that's what I'm doing. I am currently working on a potholder swatch. It's not going to be very impressive for you to see, but anyway, I'm starting in my potholder swatch for the Sedestal sweater.
And are you being clever, making lies at the back?
Yes, I am. Because yes, I knew I needed to do the lice as well as the pattern, and I thought, well, one side of the potholder can have lice and the other side can have pattern. Now that means I'm having to carry my yarns along the back, but that's okay. They'll be inside the potholder anyway. It's more insulation.
Just make it thicker, yeah. That's brilliant. I love that. That's brilliant.
Oh, that's great, Crystal. So we've heard a lot more about swatching today than I expected, but that's a good conversation. And Crystal, I love that you're a rebel a little bit and don't do the recommended swatch. You do what works for you. That's awesome.
Sometimes the recommended swatch works great. I did actually do the recommended swatch for the Sedestal, but what I did that one was for colors, because I had the Solia and Bilia in the colors I was thinking about. It's got the light dusty green on the top. So I had the right colors, but I didn't have the right thickness. And that's another thing that I think is so great, like Anne has mentioned before, with the Helis Fog yarns, you've got the same colors, it's just in different weight yarns. So the fact that I had these, I could go ahead and do the swatch, see whether or not I liked the colors and how it was going to work, and then go ahead and order the yarn from Suzanne. And so now I'm just trying to make sure what my gauge.
Yeah. Did you do it with Luna and Vida? Is it
I did this with Solia and Bilia.
Ah, okay. Cool.
and then I was good. I even got it lined, and I've got a closure thing ready to put on it, and I'm waiting to be able to do the band. Anyway, we'll learn that later. As I said, there's always more to learn.
Yeah. Okay. So the special Northern Light, it's actually indigo. Setesdal pattern is, yes, you're waiting for that. It's a bit late. Yeah. I'm behind.
No
Yes.
problem.
Yeah.
No, you just have a wonderful brain, and I'm still testing the gauge on the larger yarn, so it's okay.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, but the bands are something that we're gonna do in Northern Light later. And that's for everyone in the Northern Lights. You're gonna learn to do some special band to cover up your sleeves, kind of stuff, and for decor, for other stuff. We're gonna do that later this autumn. Not quite sure when. I can't remember.
It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. Yeah.
So Terry, last but certainly not least, tell us why you joined, and then why did you join Northern Lights?
Mm.
It wouldn't let me unmute there. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Boy, these three are hard acts to follow. So why did I join? A dear friend was concerned about me because I had just closed my law office, and she thought I didn't have anything to do, and is a big social media person. I am not. And she found Anne's Norwegian Knitting and sent me this link to look at. And I have never been in a group that wasn't work related, ever, in my whole 68 years of life. I've never been in a book club, nothing. And Crystal seems to have gone away, but I think, like Crystal, I never really felt like I was going to fit in. And so I didn't want to risk it. And so, mostly to get this friend off my back, I joined what was then called the Nook. And I went once, and I'm like, nope, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. This is ridiculous. And it had more to do with me than anyone in this group. But then the virtual retreat happened, and I attended that, and I have not looked back. And it's possible I've made, like Crystal, almost every single thing that comes out, even though Anne says we don't have to. But, I went from the retreat to level 2 to Northern Lights in like 3 months. Because, like Crystal and Leslie and Lori, I felt like I had found home. I'm going to steal Lori's comment of, this is a group of friends I never knew I needed, because they are. I do other Zoom calls with like just 1 or 2 of the people in Northern Lights. I'm going shopping on Monday with some of them because I live fairly near them. But when I think about the whole group and what is available, I'm one of the nerds who signs into almost every single session there is in a week. And I get really upset if I don't have the time to do it or whatever. But why do you sign in to all of these sessions? Well, firstly, I tell my husband I'm in a class, so he can't bother me. And that's just being silly. I really sign in because of 2 things. For every single one I sign in on, I feel valued. And, as an attorney who's not being an attorney anymore, I really need to feel like I'm valued in life. And this does that for me. But I also feel like I add value. And people might say, oh, how did you do this? Or show us that. And how did you come up with those colors? It might be something super, super easy. And it just makes me feel like I matter on this planet. And I cannot tell, I'm going to get all teary-eyed now. I can't tell you how much that means to me. And I was laughing to myself when Leslie was talking about being afraid of going on the in-person retreat, because some of us were like, who's Leslie? How come we don't know her name? And so then when we got to meet her, it was so fabulously wonderful to have that face to face and to realize there are people in this group that we don't get to see. And we're so happy she signs in on Saturday now, because now we get to see her and talk to her. But yeah, that's why I signed in, and that's why I joined Northern Lights. And I thank that friend frequently. In fact, she's on her way to spend the weekend with me at the cabin. She happens to be my brother's wife. So I'm super happy she's coming.
So you kind of talked about this, but you go to almost every session.
I do.
So it's kind of, in my perspective with you, is the more you put in is how much you get back.
Yep.
So would you say that's accurate for you?
I think it's accurate. And somebody actually asked me, another Northern Lighters asked me the other day, why do you sign in to 01? And I said, I get to meet more people that are as obsessed with knitting as I am, and might also quilt like I do, or sew, or embroider, or whatever else it might be. And I think that's one of the reasons that I have never felt that I should be part of a group. Like, I have really good friends I've been friends with for decades and decades, but we don't do knitting together, right? It's not that which keeps us together. But I get to meet more of those new people. And then I also hope that they ultimately come into Northern Lights. And it is so fun to meet people all over the planet, right? Let's see, today's Friday. Wednesday, I hope she's on. Wednesday, I Zoomed with Sylvia, who's in the Netherlands. And for an hour and a half, we just yabbered away and had a wonderful conversation. And if you had told me 2 years ago I'd be talking to somebody in the Netherlands about life, love, and the pursuit of happiness, I would have just laughed at you. But it is so wonderful to have that in my life. And so I sign in because I want to meet more people. And I also sign in because no matter what level or class or day of questions and answers, I learn something every single time. Every single time. And Steph and Ann, we do talk about this a little bit behind your backs, but we cannot figure out how that's possible, right? Because I'm 68. I've been knitting since I was 4. I did color work before I started. I did cables. And I'm like, how am I still learning something? But like Lori, I would have never taken a pattern and altered it. I've been told my whole life I don't understand color. And so the sheer fact, thank you for that reaction, Crystal, the sheer fact that, guess what, I think I do understand color. It's everyone else around me that, said whatever they said, right? But I mean, I pick out my colors with a great deal of intentionality, and my colors are so meaningful to me. I live in northeastern Minnesota, and if I could be anywhere every single day, it would be hiking along Lake Superior, the north shore of Lake Superior, not the south shore, the north shore. And so, like Crystal, I stop constantly and take pictures. And you might take 100 pictures of the same scene and pick up different colors. And so each item I make, whether it's a pot holder or a sweater, I name. So Anne has a name to it, and then I put a subtitle to represent mine. But they all mean something to me, and I want to share that with people because I know what it took for me to learn that and to feel the confidence to be able to do that. And if I can contribute just a tiny bit to someone else feeling like, hey, I can pick my own colors. I don't have to use Anne's. I don't have to use the ones in the kit. I would just feel like my life mattered, right? And I know my life mattered. That's not the point, but you're at a different stage when you're at this age, right? And so I really, really, really value that. I have no idea if I answered your question, Steph.
You did.
Okay.
You did. Absolutely, you did. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And I didn't ask you after Crystal. Do you have any questions for Crystal or Terry? And that I didn't remember to ask.
Well, I did chime in on Crystal quite a lot. So I think, no, I don't have any questions. And I talk to these guys all the time. So, and they are, they're representing our community so well. So I don't really have any questions.
So can I show them my level 3?
Oh, yeah, yes, please.
So this is my level 3. It is an octopus. My brain struggled a great deal until I think Anne said to me one day, step by step, just go step by step. And if you do that, it's a miracle. It actually works out. But so this sweater is called Winter on the North Shore. And so there's blues and greens and white to represent conifers and water and snow. But if you are a big winter person and there's snow around you, you also see golden willow. You might also see the berries on Mountain Ash. And so I could not figure out how to get the red in or the gold in. And so I knit it and then I embroidered on it. So you can see down here what look like sticks. And these are the golden willow and the red osier dogwood also. And then up here, you can see little red spots, and those are the mountain ash berries. And so I got to see if I can turn around so you can see the back panel. Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay. And so you can see some of the embroidery on that as well. And so, yeah, this, like Crystal, is a sweater I wear a lot because A, it fits divinely, and B, it's so meaningful to me. And every time I put it on, I hope Brenda's actually succeeded at getting on, because I do
Sure.
Brenda. I look at it and I go, I made this, and this is what this means, and it's just so special. So Anne, can I show them what I've been working on?
Oh yeah, you can. Absolutely.
So these sleeves, right? This is the cuff to these sleeves. And it's a fabulous pattern. But at this point in time, I've now made these 2 sleeves. And I've made 3 more swatches of the cuff, and I'm on my 4th. When we were in Norway, I gave Anne and Steph a little gift that included agates from the North Shore of Lake Superior. And those colors, they just knock your socks off. And if you've never seen an agate, here are the colors of an agate. And so I knit this sleeve cuff. And you know what? It's quite beautiful.
It is stunning. It's really, really nice. And for those of you who want those colors, we're gonna have that colorway ready for you when we open on Thursday next week. But because it's really, really nice. That being said, you and we need a bit of blue in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is great. Oh, by the way, and my husband said he wouldn't object if I made him a sweater with these colors, because they're actually his colors.
There
we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I then said, okay, I'm going to make swatch number 2. And for the Northern Lighters, these have been secrets. And so now you should be excited. You get to see them. So I added 2 blues. And it's fine. It's not exciting, but it's fine. Right?
And also, as you and I talked about, because we've been talking about this behind everyone else's back.
Yep.
You guys talk behind Steph and I, our backs, but I'm talking to Terry behind your backs. I'm talking to a few others behind your backs as well, but I'm not going to tell on that right now. But we also, as you know, it looks good, but you also see that the colors are being broken up too much because of the light blue. As much as we like the light blue, it just doesn't flow the way that you want it, right?
Yeah, so that light blue in there. So then I said, because like some of the rest of you, I'm slightly addicted and extremely stubborn. I hope my sister's watching, because she would agree. And I said, okay, I really love dark blue. Okay. And I'm tired of trying to figure out the color order. And so I did one just in dark blue.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
kind of like that, to be quite honest. I think that's if
Yeah.
anyone feels like they want to make a 2-color version, feels that, you know, you're authorized to do that. I'm allowing it, okay? That being said, yes. Again, as I keep saying, that being said, you're allowed to do whatever you want in Ants World, almost. But, you know, so I'm not putting constraints on your color choices, but I support you. But this one in a 2-color version could be really cool. I actually am playing with, I'm going to say this in public, I'm playing with the thought of making a duster, a long version of this cardigan with 2 colors only.
Okay, so and the last thing you have not seen, this is because of Sylvia's help. So we took these 3 blues, and I'm going to try one with these 3. I'm not sure about the middle one, the middle blue yet, but I'm going to try.
With the light blue on the white, or the light gray, or whatever you use at the base.
Yeah, so
Yeah, okay. Try it. I'm afraid that light blue is going to be too light, but, you know, try it. What do I say? Try it. That's the only way you can find out, right?
right. So some of you know I have a super, super talented husband. And I thought, what am I going to do with all these sleeve cuffs? Because they're not quite big enough to be Yvonne's perfect project bag.
Yeah.
But I'm going to take them and I'm going to put one inside the other. And I'm going to use that stiffening stuff that you use to make a bag, like a quilted bag, so that they can stand up and be a yarn bowl. And he's going to help me with that. So then even if this one you're like, it's got a use.
Yeah,
it's got a use. So I've
I know.
started that one, but I'm just on white, so it's boring.
Yeah.
And one other really quick thing, because I'm aware of the time, I have made the Stripes and Roses tee that Crystal showed, and I agree that that yarn and that fabric is amazing. But while I was in Norway and having a panic attack at Selbu, Anne should roll her eyes or something. But I just wanted to buy every single skein, and that was not possible without buying, like, I don't know, my own ship to bring it across the ocean. But there was one specific yarn that I thought I need, and so it was the Selbu Gimre alpaca, and that is a warm yarn. And so I thought, I'm going to make the Stripes and Roses tee out of that. And it's not a color many of you would predict I would pick, because if you just glance at it, it looks brown. But if you really look at it, it's got this blue kind of undertone. So I'm just up to the motif on that. And so, why do this? Because of everything we've shown you, and because of the skill and confidence that even though I had knit for, 60 whatever years before I came in, I have confidence that I never thought I would have with color and with knitting. And I have a comfort with all of the people that I am with. I mean, let's face it, almost every single day. We really want something on Sunday so we can meet on Sunday too. But, it really is an amazing, amazing thing to be able to look at these folks, know what they're working on, being able to say, hey, how is this going? Or did you figure that out? And just feel, like I said, like we each matter so much in each other's life. And I just cannot thank all of the people in this group for helping me feel the way I feel today about what I'm doing.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I don't think we could end any better.
No, we can't. I think that was, a perfect ending. Well, for those three out of these 4 plus Steph, 4 out of these 5, apart from me, were on the trip in Norway, and I'm easily, Terry said that she was going to tear up, but I also am awfully emotional. I come across as not that emotional a lot of times, but I am. And the Northern, I mean, my whole business means a lot to me, but the Northern Light is special because I get to know you better than everyone else, right? I have an idea of everyone in the mountain, and I try to keep track of who's there. The early birds, those that came in at an early stage, and are still there, I know those. But of you new guys, if you're watching this, there's no way I can keep track of all of you. But these guys, I have full control. Terry likes to think that I don't, but I have full control of you guys. But anyway, so thank you so much, everyone, for doing this. And why we are doing it is basically because we want you to join us. Obviously, it's not required. You can do other stuff in my world if you want to, but if you are a little bit tempted, I hope these ladies here today made you jump down on the right side of the fence as I keep talking. What you need to know is that I know that a lot of you guys watching this right now are already in, but for those of you who are not in and are thinking about it, you need to go through a one-to-one with me to get in. And that one is currently just now in the chat. So you can copy, I'll just click on that and it takes you to book one. And the reason why I do that is because I am so, I'm obsessed about keeping this community as warm and open and brilliant as it is today. I don't want to upset it if I can avoid it. And the best way to do that is to actually get to see you guys and talk to you and see if I feel that you are a right fit. But not only that, you need to know exactly what you sign up for, and you also need to know that we are a right fit for you. That's why we're doing this, and that's why you're meeting up with me, because then you get answers to all your questions, right? So that's why we do it. It's basically, and that it's going to be staying like that. It's not a test on, how well or not well you knit. It's actually a personality check going both ways, right? So there we go. If you want to do that, we have actually a few seats left. It looks like we have 5 seats actually. We've had 8 people signing up in the last few weeks, and it looks like we have 5 seats to go. We close on Wednesday, so you have to book that call so that you can make a decision before then, because on Thursday we open. And don't be afraid to do that booking, because it's not, you're only booking a call with me. That's all you're doing, to check out if you're should be in or out, right? In the mountain, we are just under 60. In the Northern Light, we're just under 60. In the mountain, there's like a couple of 100, I think. I haven't got the numbers in there. There's no limitation on that group at the moment. So that's how it works. So that as you know, there's going to be, on Sunday, I'm going to do What's What in Anne's Norwegian Knitting Call meetup. You're going to get a link to that later tomorrow. That link is coming tomorrow. On Monday, we're doing a level 2 and level 1 panel, because we are on Sunday opening up for those who want to sign up for the level 2 only. The level 3 is only in the Northern Light. On Tuesday, I'm doing the last presentation for Woolmonth, where I do a Faroe Isle versus Norwegian knitting presentation, because they are not the same. They're the same, but they're not. So, and that is important, both for the Faroe Isle people and the Norwegians, for you to know. So there you go. Also, I would like, for those of you who enjoyed this, whether you have watched this in replay or, been here through the live call, if you can click like on YouTube on this, that would be awesome. I keep forgetting to ask that, but those likes helps us being seen by more people. So, and that is important to us. So there you go. If you have any questions, I give you 2 minutes to put them in the chat while we round this off. Any last words, the famous last words of anyone before we call it a day? Steph?
Just your usual, knit some beautiful stitches. Create what makes you happy.
Yeah. And remember, you're never behind. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. And the glass is always half full. It's not half empty in our world. So there you go. And for those of you who are wondering, inside Anne's Norwegian Knitting, we do not talk politics. We do not talk religion. And we do not talk gender. End of story. That's just not allowed. And I think that is one reason why we have managed to create this awfully my English is letting me down at the moment, because I don't like the word amazing, but it is supportive community. That's, I think it's a good word. Yeah. Okay. Yes, and gauge. Never forget the gauge. Okay, guys, I hope you like this. I see that some of you said that it was informative, so I'm really happy to hear that. And maybe we'll see some of you. I know I'll see quite a few of you, and I'll see you guys on the inside, but maybe we'll see some new ones as well. We will, but who knows? Maybe that is one of you in the chat right now. Thank you, everyone. See you later.